Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. AI is unstoppable. We are seeing very interesting things on a weekly basis. Let's talk about iGenius. So iGenius, GenAI startup, announced the goal to raise 650 million in funding. So the round is essentially, there are two very interesting investors here. One is Angel Capital Management, and the other one is Eurizon Asset Management. So let's talk about iGenius for a second, because technically iGenius is the first Italian AI unicorn. What's your input on this one? What's your take?
Well, I've got so many things to say. But the first one is I'm happy. It seems that we have entrepreneurs that want to play at the global level and are ambitious enough to challenge the leaders globally and very famous names, and I'm very proud of it. I also from the news article, we have a unicorn, but it is a unicorn in the making still. Since the announcement is about the goal to raise 650 million, only partially covered by the two investors who were publicly announced in the round. So I think there is still some way to go before getting to the entire round. I expect to hear news in the coming months, and I'll get in touch. We raised 650 million, and then the second consideration I want to make is that money is more than the entire capital raised by all Italian startups since the beginning of the year.
Wow.
So
okay, fine.
Just to provide you with some perspective around the economies of scale and growth in the startup lands.
Yeah.
How just one deal can completely change the numbers on the table.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of interesting things here. We can literally do the whole episode about this because there are a few things. So we mentioned, of course, iGenius last week because they basically are working on Italian 9B, which is the first language model fully trained in Italian language. They raised 10 million in 2022. The company was founded in 2018. And just to give people also the scale of the growth, they reached the 1 billion valuation post-money in 2023, and I believe now it's 1.7. So very, very interesting. It's a rocket ship. And again, great investor behind. So Angel Capital Management is essentially Angelo Moratti vehicle. It is investing in a lot of great companies. And again, Angelo Moratti is a great example of one of the few Italian investors that have been working in the tech ecosystem, basically financing a lot of great deals, both through MIP, Milano Investment Partner, and Cliffs in the US. So very interesting entity there. So that's something definitely worth mentioning. But yeah, great combination, both in terms of founder, the macro trend, plus great investor. There you go. You have the first AI unicorn. So very, very interesting for sure.
Just to give some more flavors around the investors, the company raised, I think, around 40 millions from Crunchbase. And the latest round was involved Nova Capital, that's a investment vehicle by a family office, and Black Sheep, so one of the VC funds focused on marketing technologies. But before that, they raised two quite sizable angel rounds. And that's quite unusual in terms of size of the rounds. So interesting.
Awesome. Right, moving on. Talking really quick about Aidexa, fintech bank, raising 16 million. Interesting raise. So Aidexa basically is trying to bring quick finance to small and medium enterprises, so kind of like working to destroy the clunky mechanisms of traditional banking for small and medium enterprises, so very, very relevant for Italy. They got about 48 million in fundraise in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And their position is really, really interesting because at least with banking is one of the few sectors where we have at least like a very precise KPIs when it comes to health of a company. So one health indicator, which I want to mention, which it's for specific like digital banks and banking in general, is the CET1 ratio, which I encourage people to look into, and they're mentioning also in the press release. So essentially, this is a ratio where which measure the health and the liquidity of the company. Is basically like a division between basically the common equity of the bank, common stock surpluses, and retained earnings over the risk-weighted assets. So these measures essentially gives a percentage on how healthy is the company. They were at 17.5, and now the projection is to get to 26. So pretty substantial, I would say, and a great signal for the banking industry and how exactly the company is doing. So very, very interesting, way at seeing like the progress of a startup, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. This is a weird kind of startup in the sense. I mean, you expect kind of young-ish entrepreneurs launching from something from a garage. In this way, you have um, extremely highly experienced bankers who have decades of experience in banking, launching a digital bank for the small to medium enterprises sector. So
Yeah,
interesting approach, that's for sure.
awesome. Right, moving on. Italian Founders Fund, new 50 million fund backed by Italian entrepreneurs. So very interesting. We finally have an Italy-based Founders Fund modeled by from the US sort of counterpart. Basically, what is interesting is that they have no institutional LPs or public money. So essentially, that gives like a very high degree of flexibility in terms of investment range. They're working on seed and pre-seed mostly. So tickets go between like 250 to 1 million roughly. And the goal is to get to 25 companies. So they have, I think, 5 companies in pipeline. 2 of them are disclosed, Glout and Jet HR. And it really looks like they're moving like in the right way, in the right direction. So not only the right ways, but also in the right direction. So which is not small for a newly formed venture firm. What's
No,
your
not at all.
impression?
Well, I love the signal of having a national founders fund. That's because you have successful founders that can allocate capital and cooperate in the early stage investment phase. That means that we have companies that are starting to create a legacy. And we absolutely need this legacy because from existing companies that have scaled, that have grown, I expect to see a lot of new entrepreneurs coming out. And and this brings me back to the extremely great positioning of a founders fund because existing founders are the first touch point that any aspiring entrepreneurs would actually want to have with the business world and the investment world. So they have probably a unique positioning in terms of deal flow, a great experience they can lend to the targets, and a very nice position in the whole ecosystem. So I really
Yeah,
expect big things from Italian Founders Fund at large. So
I
really looking
agree.
forward to working with them.
I mean, it has the potential to really be one of the most successful operation in VC of the last years because if you look at the cap table or at least the people participating, you have big names like from Italian ecosystem, from Bending Spoons to Satispay to across like different kind of investors, and on top of that, they have the flexibility to actually really push Italians, not only in Italy, but all over the world. So it's not just Italians working in Italy, but also Italian which are transplanted somewhere else. And that can actually play like a huge leverage, especially for, people that are specifically talented in an ecosystem which is mostly built abroad. Then they can leverage that kind of like connection. So that's extremely powerful, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Leverage is the keyword, and I agree with you. So I really expect them to be um, a nexus around a lot of entrepreneurs, founders, existing entrepreneurs and investors on the international grade. So um, I'm very happy that we have this type
Awesome.
of investment vehicle. So it's a strong signal that the market is maturing.
Let's go back to CDP and what these guys are doing. So starting from actually one of the latest investments. So CDP VC invested $11 million in Nozomi Networks, joining the company's 100 million Series A. So what is your perspective on this?
Series E. Well,
Sorry, yeah, Series E. Yeah.
uh, there's an interesting round. I mean, Nozomi Networks is a very um, up and scaling startup from Silicon Valley, and it was founded by Italian entrepreneurs who moved early on to the Silicon Valley. It is telling that CDP is diversifying by joining, I mean, a big round, late stage round with a sizable ticket outside of Italy. So an important signal, first of all. This is one of the first deals that they announced after the presentation of the new strategic plan. And look, Nozomi Networks is in cybersecurity and networks. So I might expect that coming up, they will open up shop in our area probably, and this funding is a way to signal interest, capabilities, and attractivity from our market. So this is just speculation, of course. Um, but I do really
Yeah, I
like the
mean,
company, so I love the fact that we have CDP investing in them.
yeah, it's significant that being an institution, they're still looking into founders abroad. So that's a strong signal. It's pretty, it's a balance at least with what is happening in different ecosystems. So yeah, I mean I hope there will be also benefit coming back to the country, which for sure will be the case. So very interesting deal. All right, let's conclude by mentioning Join Capital officially announced the opening of its Italian office. So Join Capital is essentially focusing on deep tech and industrial tech. They will be investing in Series C and Series A, so in a very sweet spot for Italy. And also something that maybe the manufacturing part can be sensitive to, which is industrial tech. You don't see many funds really pushing that kind of perspective. So what is your perception of this?
No, I agree with you. So they come from Germany, and Germany is a powerhouse in terms of manufacturing capabilities and advanced manufacturing. So there is a lot of knowledge coming from there and investment opportunities. And it is telling that Italy probably the third country in Europe in terms of industrial production capabilities. So I'm very happy that they're moving in. We do have the industrial frame to have interesting startups and companies to invest in. And secondly, this is probably the flip side of the metal of the middle in the international strategy of CDP, because Joint Capital did receive funding from Cassa Depositi and Prestiti with the International Fund of Funds. So again, on the one side, we have the company investing in scale-ups with ties and roots to Italy, maybe supporting them moving back some of the operations and opening up in the local market. And then on the other side, we have a CDP investing in firms and attracting them towards Italy, so bringing down and leveraging capital from abroad to Italy. So I think these are two very interesting aspects of the emerging strategy of CDP.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting angle, especially through the funds of funds. I wonder whether there will be other occasions where they would invest kind of abroad in different funds with sort of the objective to bring them into. That can be a very interesting backdoor strategy. I mean, I don't want to say too loud, but it's definitely powerful. Definitely something very interesting, and it can be extremely mutually beneficial.
Yeah, but they're public with that. So that's their strategy. So they're absolutely public with the International Fund of Funds strategy. So they invested in quite a few funds so far. I think 3 were announced, but
Okay.
I expect to see more. I know
Awesome.
there are more. So
Excellent. All right, Nick, thank you so much for joining. This brings us to an end. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And I'll see you next week for the latest news.
ciao, Jack. Take care. Ciao, everybody. Have a great week.